So we'll be hearing about vaccines in today's news conference, and we'll also likely be hearing a lot about the southern border. Yesterday, President Biden named Vice President Kamala Harris as the administration's point person to stem the current flow of migrants and address the root causes of their migration. Joining us now, someone who knows a bit about those root causes, Democratic member of the Judiciary Committee and co-chair of the Immigration Task Force in the Congressional Hispanic Caucus's Congresswoman Veronica Escobar of Texas. See, she recently wrote a New York Times op-ed entitled, "I represent El Paso. What I'm asking for doesn't include open borders." And the piece is worth a read, and I'd like you to talk about it, Veronica, but I also want to point to your piece that you wrote back in 2014, Why the Border Crisis is a Myth. You've been writing about this, you've been trying to work on this, and you've been talking about those root causes and also solutions. Share with us what you have been writing about and working for now for years and why it's so important today in this discussion.
Well, Mika, it's great to see you. Great to be on the program again, and thank you for having me. You know, I was having a conversation just a few minutes ago with one of my staffers about how frustrating it is to not be solutions-oriented, for our country to not be solutions-oriented. You know, this week, two of my senators are hosting a CODEL of senators who are going to go to the border. They will engage in political theater, just as Kevin McCarthy did when he came to El Paso. They will criticize the administration. They will do everything they can to demonize migrants. They will say the border needs more militarization. They'll fly back to D.C. and do nothing. They won't be held accountable. They won't be asked what they did when their party had control of the House, the Senate, and the White House under Donald Trump. You're right. I've been writing about this since 2014, because in 2014, we began seeing vulnerable families arriving at our doorstep, unaccompanied children arriving at our doorstep. And we focused obsessively on the border. And the reason that I wrote this latest piece for the New York Times is because that obsession only with the border, with walls, with the cruelty of deterrence policies under Trump, expulsion, none of that changes the situation, because the situation is not at the border. The situation is outside of our borders. The news from the White House yesterday that Vice President Kamala Harris will be has taken the lead on addressing these root causes is exciting to me, because I feel hopeful that we will finally begin to engage strategically on addressing this issue once and for all. If we don't get it right, if we don't address it at the root cause, we will be having this conversation every single year. And the reason I sent you that 2014 piece was precisely that. We've been having the same conversation every year, and we lose sight of the fact that we're not getting any closer to solving this situation, not necessarily for us, but for these vulnerable people who have nowhere else to go but to America. So I feel hopeful for the first time. I think the media needs to do a much better job. They need to get their facts right, and they need to hold us accountable.
What do you think the administration needs to do more in the way that the situation is being addressed right now? What's the biggest mistake that's been made? Is it sometimes words maybe perhaps being too far ahead of policy, or is it something more?
You know, Mika, and I've shared this with the White House, I feel like they should lean in. I feel that they should completely embrace this challenge in the way that the president embraced the challenge of COVID, by setting a goal and by saying, look, we've been kicking the can as a country. Administration after administration has failed to address this in a meaningful, permanent, thoughtful, strategic way, but I'm going to do it, and lay out everything that they are doing to make this situation better. There's no question that the situation right now is unsustainable. It's not good, not for any human being involved in the system, whether it be those migrants or the agents or the communities. But I feel as though, you know, in the absence of leaning in on this, it creates an opportunity for the media to run with stories about messaging or stories about these visits without true accountability and true solutions.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.